Hey everyone, my name is KryptoCal, and welcome to the next episode of All the Mods 9, GregTech Gauntlet. In the last episode, we finished by setting up our very first fusion reactor MK1, which is making us europium at a, well, slow but steady rate. I went ahead and readjusted our circuitry back here and the AE2 because I realized that I think this only is going to be running one recipe at a time. It was really big and bulky for no reason, so I just kind of consolidated it down to just this. This is doing the exact same job as the previous tier or the previous setup. So this is working very well. As a bit of a side project, what we're going to actually do is take a look at the GregStar chapter here for quest progression. And there's a lot of stuff here that we are going to be getting to soon. That's going to be all the Greg stuff. But mixed into all of these quests are just some random little other projects that we have to do to craft the star. This one requires some antimatter pellets, which we already have. We have to do some black hole controller crafting from industrial foregoing. The end steel exchanger is going to be what we're going to do right now. This is a bit of a process though. We need to get 18 of these total to get 2 GregStar blocks. And this requires us to get end steel ingots, and then also a bunch of these different crystals. And we haven't really done these too much. We haven't done much Ender IO at all in this series. So we are kind of low and we don't really have access to all of these resources or materials right now. And Grace, you do have the Ender IO bees though, right? You have done those a while back.
Yeah, I made them a long time ago because I just wanted to have one of every kind of bee. It was a full gotta catch 'em all type.
Now, things like the weather crystal just involve crafting a bunch of other ones together. The ender crystal has to be made inside of a soul binder by combining a filled soul vial of enderman with a vibrant crystal. So we're gonna actually have to go out with some empty vials and grab a bunch of enderman to use in the crafting. Going to the end to get some isn't gonna be that hard.
I am so glad that I went ahead and just made this stuff, even though it was completely unnecessary in my mind at the time, because it turns out it was not unnecessary in the end.
It's a zombie electrode. Holy moly, what are you? That is so niche. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but we need 36 zombie electrodes. They are needed to craft the energetic exchanger. We're at the energetic exchanger tier. We're on the end steel exchanger task. It's almost done. 18 of them. So our next point of progression is going to be trying to get into the research station, which is what we're going to need to get the next tier of circuit. But the research station is not a cheap multi-block. This thing is going to be a micro crafting, auto crafting nightmare. I have so much to set up here. We have to first get a data bank as well as one of these HPCAs, which is going to be doing all of the computation that the research station needs. So I've gone ahead and pinned a lot of the generic things that I'm going to need to put on AutoCraft. Thankfully, we do have all of our factories now that are going to hopefully speed up all of our processing. So hopefully we can get that going pretty quickly. So with all that being said, let the AutoCrafting begin. And while I'm in the process of getting some of these crafts set up for our research station, I wanted to come back to our assembling factory over here and give it another upgrade. Because while they're good at running one recipe very quickly in large batches, unfortunately, just having one assembling factory to handle all of our general assembling processes was just not going to be fast enough. I mean, it's good, don't get me wrong, we probably could have settled for it, but I want to kind of push how efficient this can be. What I think I'm going to do is have 3 of these assembling factories stacked on top of each other, and we're going to do a little bit of AE2 wizardry back here to make this all happen. When you request a craft from one of these pattern providers, it looks at all adjacent inventory inventories it can send resources to. For example, if we requested a craft from this top one right here, it would check all of these interfaces to see if where these are attached to can send valid items for the recipe to be completed. So my thought is what we're going to do is have 3 separate subnets here. All of these faces are going to be on different subnets, and all of them are going to go into different assemblers, meaning we're going to have one pattern provider be able to see 3 different assemblers to do the same craft. Now, I've yet to test to see if this actually works the way I think it does, but theoretically, if we have all of these on a separate subnet, this should help speed up this whole system drastically. Let's get a magenta cable and a light blue cable. We'll get a main net connection here for some power. We'll have magenta, say, on this side. 6 of 8. We can only have 8 channels going at a time without a separate controller. We can come back and just throw a controller in if we want to, but I think this should be probably enough. So, for example, if we go ahead and connect up this cable, we're at our max of 8 out of 8 channels being used. But now all of these can basically see this one assembler. This one up front here can be our green cable. We are going to have to give this, again, some power. And this one's going to attach right into this middle assembler. And this should just work now. I have to start emptying all of these patterns back into our general assemblers. So let's do a test just to see if I can get these 2 running. What would be a good test subject here? Let's do some coils. So if we request 32 of these, this should send 16 to each of these assemblers if I've set this up correctly. I went ahead and requested the pattern. It's doing some crafting. And there we go. It's doing 16 in each assembling factory, taking 35 seconds to do, well, 16 coils isn't all that bad. Awesome. So this is working exactly how I expected it to. And as long as all of these are on blocking mode, we shouldn't have any issues with pattern overlap. I'm just going to go ahead and probably make one more assembling factory, put it on top here, and hook in this magenta channel as the final channel, and we're basically all good. And in my quest of putting in all of these crafts and auto crafts to get all the research station made up, we've hit a bit of a bottleneck. We have to make uranium rhodium diaquinide dust. This stuff is made inside of a mixer, but it has to be done at ZPM. So we have to get ZPM machines. Mixers, I think, let me see, if I put in a recipe for our mixer, there's a good chance we have most of the stuff for this. The only thing that I think we're going to be missing is the Naquata alloy rotor. We already are making, well, we have the plates being stored. We don't have any of the ingots in stock though. All right, so we're making Naquata alloy plate here. We're trying to fill a pretty large buffer of alloy plates. I'm going to run a cable over just to set a bit of a logic condition on our plate making. So I'm going to put an emitter under here. I'll say only emit when levels are above a certain amount. So I'm going to say keep 256 of the Naquata alloy ingots in stock always. And then once we have those, then start making the plates. All right, we'll make a ZPM wing up top here. So I'm going to use our vanadium gallium wire. We could use trinium, but trinium is so hard to get right now that I don't really want to waste all of our trinium on cables. So it's going to have to be this. Uranium rhodium diaquinide is uranium, rhodium, and Naquata. No problem on circuit 4.
It looks like it should be radioactive.
It's very cool looking, actually.
It is, but it looks like if it wasn't updated, this would have been a carcinogen or something.
Well, I preemptively made EBFs, so that's actually nice. I can just go ahead and throw this right in, I think, right? Yeah. Circuit 2, trinium. Oh, this requires trinium coils.
Oh, yeah. Well, we have trinium. So
I guess we can. Yeah, okay. We can make these. It's an assembler recipe. Let's just make this 16. All right, so we have to get the elite assembler first before we do any more progression. So we have everything here. I have to make recipes for the ZPM conveyors and robot arms, though. I think we should have space in this one still. Yeah, we're getting a little low, but we do have space. So we'll get these 2 going, and then we'll get the recipes in and craft up our first ZPM assembler, which we need to, of course, make the energy hatch, and then that will let us turn our assemblers behind us here into absolute monsters. 16 amp ZPM will get us up to the UHV, I think, speeds, which is the final tier of speeds before the Greg Star.
I don't know if I'm ready for that.
Like, we're already there. We're already running at the max speed pretty much.
I'm not ready.
I honestly might not even put this in the machine wall because I'm gonna end up taking it down. Maybe we can just bulk craft a couple.
Another temporary thing?
I mean, sometimes it's just fun to have a little bit of temporary setup around.
That I never thought I would hear you say that a day in your life.
Okay, so we'll put the coil recipe inside here. So now we can craft our very first set of tritium coils, just like this. And there we go. This is going to take 40 seconds to do one coil. So this is going to be like 15 minutes of crafting. We've gotten so used to being able to crank out coils in like 10 seconds. So once we have that, then what we can do is we can make an EBF recipe. We can take the dust that we were stocking, run this through a tritium EBF with argon. That's going to get us the hot ingots, which we're going to cool into these. We need 32 of the 2x wire for this, and that is the kind of the rest of the recipe for the research station block taken care of. It's a lot. It's going to be a lot of micro crafting, and I think at this point we're probably going to take a moment and just do a bunch of crafting. Okay, so we're going to start off by crafting up the data bank, and we're going to have to run some cabling underground to hook up these data banks to our assembly lines. Now, these are going to be kind of the bulk storage for our patterns. If you come in here and take a look here, I had to rearrange the assembly line because I want to run the cables out here and attach them and go underground. And as long as they're all connected together, I think they all just kind of share any patterns on their cable network.
These things scare me. I'm not gonna lie. They're just a little scary looking. Enough like your face.
There we go. The terminal worked. The optical transmission hatch is where we're going to just take the cable out of here with some of the optical fiber cable. And this just hooks in with some wire cutters. To actually store our patterns, we're going to use access hatches. And I think they just can be replaced any of the computer casing. Yeah, so we put our patterns right in here now. I'll bring these patterns over to this one. And then we just have to replace this data hatch with the optical reception hatch. This is what we're going to then hook in our cable like this to. We'll run you all the way down. And now we just got to hook in these two lines. Hopefully that means that we should be able to see our current patterns in here. Let's just test that out. Let's just try and request LUV electric motor. Yep, it is. Okay, perfect. So this works exactly how I think it does. We can just cover this whole thing up at some point. Like,
we'll just make a box. I've got the perfect solution. I think this is pretty good.
So now we can just replace a lot of these computer casings with more of these data hatches. Yeah, we can just fill all of these in. One thing I just realized as I've been doing this is that the fiber cables, if I had read correctly the first time, can only be connected to one assembly line per optical transmitter output on the data bank. So every time I need to hook up a new assembly line, I have to run another set of fiber cables from my data bank, which is a little bit annoying because you can't just combine the cables. They have to be their own separate runs, hence a fiber bundle. You don't usually overlap those, so it makes sense, but also I don't like it. Next up, we have to get this high performance computation array set up. Now this is going to be linked directly into the research station, and we're going to put the research station over in ZPM now. And I think having it maybe like right on the back here.
Bro, this thing scares me. This small section of this tier, I don't know why, but it is far more intimidating than even the reactor was. It's too much computer.
We'll get there. Computation component requires clean room. Of course it does. Wow, these are expensive things. 1300 cobalt fine wire for some computer casings. These things are getting expensive. The research station, just to make sure we have enough space here, is 3 blocks wide and 7 blocks deep. So I'll do 3 blocks here, leave a space, and then this is where we will put, I think this is where we're going to want to have this. Let's take our terminal out here and see if we got it all. It built it the wrong way. I wanted it facing the other way. Why did you do this to me?
Because it hates you.
There we go. Nice. Okay, cool. It is formed. This thing is currently idling. Now, the cooling is important on this. Connect the HPCA to the research station with optical fiber cables between their computation data hatches. Okay, so apparently this is going to be good for what we need for the circuits. All we need now is to give this a little bit of power, and we also have to hook in some applied energistics to provide this with the coolant, which we have in stock.
Hey Cal, you should come see what I've been working on.
Okay, I come.
Come see. I've been moving over to a slightly different area of the quest progression for the crystal chips. And basically, the first one you have to make using the flawless emerald, I believe, like the highest tier emerald that you can use, and it only gives you a 10% chance to get you the crystal chip, which is sad. So Thankfully, I got it on my second try, which was super lucky. And then from here on, basically what you do is you take the crystal chips and then you crush them up and you get 9 of the raw crystal chip parts. And those can be fed back into this machine for the same chance as that flawless emerald had. So after you get your first chip, it essentially feeds itself between these two machines. And I've downgraded this drawer so that we only keep like a couple stacks of the raw crystal chip parts, because the thing we actually need is the crystal chips. But it's very slow, so hopefully this will get going and we'll start to see some of the crystal chips starting to stay in the drawer soon. By the time we're done with the data banks and all that stuff, we might have some in here. These are what we will be ending up with. I don't know why we have some. I think somebody got them as a quest reward.
I think I got them as a quest reward, yeah.
It's kind of crazy as a quest reward, by the way.
The last thing I think we're going to do and get done in this episode is probably going to be getting the research station up and running. Casing, advanced casing, and then it goes right here. No, one more up. It goes right here. Now if we use the terminal, we should see it. And it didn't form correctly. So I figured it out. So I have to have the computation data reception hatch. I had the transmission hatch. That was the problem. So I put this all in and ta-da! And I have to hook in this cable like so. We want to be able to get the recipe for the ZPM energy hatch. We have to put a LUV hatch in with a data orb to get the recipe for this. So if I put the orb in here and the item in there, is that doing anything? Oh, this needs to be max recipe tier. It needs to be ZPMs. I need to have 2 hatches. Is it running now? There's a minimum computation. Maybe we don't have enough computation units here for this. We need 8 CWU per tick. And this only provides 4. Okay, I think that's the problem. So I need to add more of the HPCA computation components.
Wow, the sheer amount of quest rewards I just got.
So now this might actually work. So if I put the data orb in here and the energy hatch. Oh, it's doing it. Oh, that sounds so cool. Oh, it's so slow though. So we are learning here how to do the ZPM energy hatch. Oh boy. There it is, the data orb for the ZPM energy hatch. Nice. We're going to place our recipe into the data access hatch over here. Right there should be fine. All right, is it craftable? Can we get our very first ZPM energy hatch?
Oh, please.
It's craftable. It's going.
It's going?
Maybe.
Bro.
It's crafted.
Please?
Oh, it did it.
You did it? Yo, that was so much work for an energy hatch.
But with all that being said, I think that's a great place to call it for this episode. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. I really hope you did enjoy. If you did enjoy, feel free to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Also, if you haven't already, be sure to join the Discord. The link is in the description down below. That's it for me, everybody. I hope you have a good one, and we'll catch you in the next episode. Bye.